All right. Ryan Davis here with Enterprise Talks, and we got Joe Forrester, Elvis, riding shotgun with us tonight.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing? Happy 85th birthday.
Yeah, 85 years, 1935.
Well, you got a big show coming up Friday night. Tell us about that.
Friday night we'll be playing at the, we're going to have a special guest star coming in with us. I won't mention his name right now because he's behind the camera, but we're going to be at the Blue Biscuit 7 o'clock on Friday night, so just 2 nights away. And looking to look at the music that Elvis did throughout his career, which spanned through the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
How's this different from a normal Elvis show that you do?
Well, we're going to do a little bit of time. We're going to compare and contrast some songs and let people listen to some of the original version of some of the songs that Elvis did that were covers. So we're going to have fun. We're going to do some things kind of a little different. So it's going to be kind of a couple mini shows instead of just one show.
So in case anybody doesn't know, Joe is a Elvis, I guess, impersonator, and I guess that you put on a great show. Tell me a little bit about the shirt you're wearing, those patches.
Well, I got this at Sun Studios, but Elvis was working for the electric company when he went in to record "That's All Right, Mama" for his mother for her birthday, and Sam Phillips wasn't there at the time, but the lady that was working the booth at the time told Sam, "You got to listen to this guy's record." And so anyway, they got Sam got a hold of Elvis's family, and Elvis was actually off somewhere doing something, and his parents were like, you got to get down to see Sun Studios. So he went back down, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah.
So,
well, you grew up in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yep.
How did you connect with Elvis in Baltimore?
Well, I had two older sisters and an older brother, and they were in a lot of the 50s and 60s music, and I kind of just picked up from there. And of course, Elvis's movies, Blue Hawaii and GI Blues, and a young impressionable kid, the guy that always had the women chasing him was something that you try to aspire to. Not that I was ever that, but it was a fun thing to watch.
You did impressions of a lot of different people.
Yeah, I did John Wayne and Johnny Cash and "Hello, everybody, I'm Johnny Trash." When people hear me sing, they say, "Hey, that's trash."
Now, you were in Ring of Fire.
I was in Ring of Fire, yeah.
At the little theater.
Yeah, I did a couple, 3 songs I did, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Had a good time.
Did you kind of channel Elvis when you were doing some of those?
It was really tough doing Johnny Cash. I'm so used to moving around when I perform and Johnny Cash just kind of stood still. So one of the nights that we did it, I kept talking to the band about trying to do some things, and so there's a song called "Man in Black," and Johnny Cash sings, "You wonder why I'm always dressed in black," and it gets to this one point where he says, "You'll never see me in a suit of white." I say, "You never see me in a jumpsuit of white. I'd love to wear a jumpsuit made of white, or something like that." So anyway, I don't know if the director liked it, but it was fun.
You got notes at the end of it?
We got some notes. I heard some kind of screeching off stage or something.
Yeah. Well, you and I and our director all made our stage debut together last spring.
Yeah.
In The Odd Couple.
Absolutely.
At the Brindley Theater, so that was a lot of fun.
You were amazing in that. I just still to this day don't know how you remembered all the words and all the lines, and you did such a great job. And there were some fantastic quotes in that that still stick in my mind. If you could do your little part about the notes that if you remember it
I don't know if I can do it. What is it?
Where he's leaving the notes on the bed and it's driving you crazy.
Oh, yeah. You leave me little notes. I told you a million times I hate little notes. We're all out of cereal. F you. Took me 3 hours to figure out F you was Felix Arnett.
It's a classic. I just love that. It's funny because when those tryouts were going on, my wife had just recently fallen and broken her arms, and no, I was not around when it happened. So anyway, she fell off the bar from drinking.
You have an alibi.
She fell off the bar drinking at the Blue Biscuit. No, she did. But it's a much better story than the truth, which was she was walking across the street and fell. Anyway, I really wanted that part that you had because I just thought it would be really interesting to be somebody who kind of got to be sloppy and didn't have to, get all dressed up and put on a jumpsuit or something. And I was so glad I didn't get it after I watched you because there was so many lines. You were literally in just about every scene.
I wasn't overly interested in it because I was sloppy. And I was everything that Oscar was. So my three heroes growing up are Oscar Madison, Mo Howard, and the old man from It's a Wonderful Life.
There you go.
If you could be a combination of those three, you could really make it.
You could throw a little Jimmy Stewart in there, you know.
And the old man Potter is a misunderstood man. You want the moon? You throw a lasso around the moon and pull it in. But anyway, so back to the drawing board here. We're talking about Elvis Presley, 85 years old. What if Elvis had lived to 85? Would he be doing weight loss commercials with Marie Osmond right now? I mean, what would he be doing at 85?
I really think if Elvis had lived, that he would have done some more dramatic roles. I think he wanted to be a dramatic movie actor. Barbra Streisand wanted him to be in The Star Is Born in 1976, and Chris Christopherson did a fantastic job in it. Chris Christopherson had been suffering from alcoholism, and that movie really changed his life, and he realized that what he was doing was self-destructive, and I think Elvis would have too, but the Colonel once again said, he's got to be the top, box office guy there, and Barbra Streisand said, "This is my movie, I'll bring you into it."
But a lot of people don't realize that at that time Christopherson was the number one draw.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were going to go get somebody,
Mm-hmm.
you were going to go get Christopherson. You think Elvis was maybe too far gone by that point, 76?
I don't think so. I think, in 1973, when Elvis was going to do the Aloha from Hawaii, he went to a director to do the direction for the stage, and he told him what he wanted to do, and the director said, "You got to lose 50 pounds before I'm even going to consider doing it." And nobody told Elvis stuff like that, and so Elvis went out and lost 50 pounds, and he got suntanned, and he looked great. I mean, he looked fantastic.
So when you wake up at 3 a.m. with that craving for peanut butter bacon and a double cheeseburger, you just
gotta
roll back over and go to sleep.
Well, the problem was he was awake at 3 o'clock. He wasn't waking up. He was going to bed at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning.
I always tell my wife, Elvis ate peanut butter and bacon sandwiches, and he lived to 48.
Exactly, it was 42.
42.
But
Even better.
I think that, if you look at certain things that happen in your life, there are people that can tell you where they were when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. And there's a lot of people who are Elvis fans that can tell you exactly where they were, what they were doing the day that Elvis died.
What were you doing?
I was changing a tire in my parents' driveway.
Okay.
And I had the radio on, and I was listening to some music, and my brother-in-law, at the time, he was just my wife's brother. But later on, she became my wife. He became my brother-in-law. Anyway, Donnie called. My wife, or my mother came out and said, "Hey, Donnie's on the phone for you." And I went into the house, and Donnie was kind of a practical joker, always joking about stuff. And so I walked in, and I picked up the phone, and I said, "Hey, Donnie, what's up?" And he goes, "Elvis is dead." And I said, "Donnie, that's not even funny." And I hung the phone up, and I walked back outside, and it kind of ticked me off a little bit. I'm thinking, who jokes about something like that?
Yeah.
And I got back to the car, and I was changing tire, and all of a sudden I heard, "This just in from Memphis, Tennessee. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, has died." And it just kind of hit me. And it wasn't, there were people that were torn up and cried, and I wasn't one of those people, but I was a fan of his. I enjoyed his music. I enjoyed his movies. He seemed like a nice guy, and so, he was kind of, him and John Wayne and a couple others were kind of the heroes of that time for me.
And you're thinking 42.
I'm thinking, yeah, he's young. Of course, at that point, 42 seemed really old, so not anymore. But he's been gone now longer than he was alive. This August will be 43 years since he died.
Still putting out number one.
And he's still putting out number one records. And there's a lot of people that are young that weren't even alive when Elvis was around that know him and know his music and they're familiar with it. And, Priscilla Presley and the estate have done a fantastic job and making sure they've kept his name and his talent out there in front of everybody.
Elvis did a lot of genres. He did rock and roll, country, crooning, gospel. What's your favorite to sing?
Well, I love gospel, and I also love the ballads, but I like the rock and roll stuff too, and the blues.
Can you do a little gospel for us?
Sure. This is a song that my mother really liked. It was a song that I actually sang at my mom's funeral. It was her favorite Elvis gospel song. Lead me, guide me along the way. Lord, if you lead me, I could never stray. Lord, won't you open my eyes that I may see? Lead me, oh Lord, won't you lead me?
Good. How do you segue when you're playing in a bar, a Blue Biscuit? How do you segue from Hound Dog into a gospel number?
Well, Elvis won 3 Grammys in his life, and all 3 of them for gospel. Elvis did gospel on stage. He would do How Great Thou Art, which is another great song that I like to do, and he would do some of those things on stage. So I usually try to pick it, and it's funny because sometimes it seems like when I'm with the band, I had a band where I used to live. I had a band, and it seems like we would go from How Great Thou Art into Suspicious Minds or something. But I would talk about how Elvis won the 3 Grammys, and we're going to do a little gospel here. Especially sometimes on a Saturday night in a bar. There's some of these people who are not going to get up and go to church on Sunday because they're probably just going to be going to bed. So you can give them a little bit of Jesus in their heart before they go to bed for the day.
I think they were Assembly of God. Elvis was young, Whitney.
I believe he was.
Yeah. And did you know about his father spent 9 months in Parchment?
Right.
Back in 1937, 38, something like that, for forgery.
Yeah.
So with all this Parchment stuff going on, it got me thinking about that. I say Mark Stowers actually wrote a column for us in the paper this week about Elvis's dad kind of coming and spending some time in Sunflower County.
Not the best way to come spend time. There are better things to see in Sunflower County, I guarantee you.
Yeah. But talk a little bit about some of the other kind of genres that you enjoy singing.
Well, I really enjoy the rock and roll. There's a lot of great songs. Polk Salad Annie, which is again a song that Elvis did. It was a cover. It was done years before by other people. And I forget the gentleman's name who wrote the song, but I remember they interviewed him, and Elvis came out with it. There was a lot of criticism for Elvis redoing that song, or doing his version of that song, and they interviewed the guy that wrote it, and he said, "Shut up, I'm getting a lot of money from him singing that song in royalties, so he can sing it as many times as he wants."
We were talking about Eddie Rabbitt.
Eddie Rabbitt?
Kentucky Rain.
Yeah, Kentucky Rain. He had sent a number of demos over to Elvis to listen to, and unfortunately, Kentucky Rain was in there. It wasn't supposed to be in there because Eddie Rabbitt had already recorded it and was getting ready to release it in an album. And Elvis loved the song and said, "Hey, I'm going to do the song." And Eddie Rabbitt said, "Wait a minute, that wasn't supposed to be in there." And Elvis goes, "Hey, you sent it over. I'm doing it. I like the song." So he did it and had a lot of success with it. And again, Eddie Rabbitt made a lot of money off of the royalties on that as well. Mac Davis was another one who did a number of Elvis songs. He did Memories, and he did song. There's a movie that Elvis did. I think it was 1967 or 68 called "Live a Little, Love a Little," and he did a number of songs from that. They were great songs. So there's a lot of good music. But I like country music. I like the gospel music. I like the blues. One of Elvis's Christmas songs that I've always liked was a song called "Santa Claus is Back in Town." It's, it starts off with a kind of a slow thing, and it kind of goes right into this bluesy.
Can you give a little for us?
Well, I got no I got no sleigh or reindeer, no sack on my back. You'll see me coming in a long black Cadillac. Well, it's Christmas time, pretty baby, and the snow is falling on the ground. Well, it's Christmas time, pretty baby, and Santa Claus is back in town. So,
Yeah, what's a song that some people are amazed sometimes that Elvis did that maybe they didn't know that Elvis had recorded or sang on stage?
well, it's funny because I'll be doing a show and somebody will. People don't realize sometimes that I think that when they're in the audience, the person that's on stage can hear what they're saying very clearly. And so you'll be singing the song and somebody go, he never did that song. Elvis never did that song. And I'll work it in. If I hear something like that, I'll work it into the song that I'm singing, like Sweet Caroline, which was obviously Neil Diamond, but Elvis did it. And I'll go, yes, he sang that song. Bum, bum, bum. I got it on an album outside now. People go, oh my God. He never said that. So anyway, there's a lot of great songs. He did an Irish song, which is one of my favorite Irish songs, is Old Danny Boy.
Uh-huh.
He did that on his last album, which he did a great job with it. And there was on his last live performance right before he died, that was videoed, which he was in terrible shape physically, but he did an unbelievable Unchained Melody, version of Unchained Melody, and the voice, the talent was still there. Unfortunately, physically, he had just.
I can remember seeing him. I believe probably taking the call thing as people were helping him up from the piano. Yeah, he was in that bad shape.
Yeah.
What do you think of the space here?
I think it's really neat. I love the texture. It's got a nice texture to it.
Yeah, so we're in the Enterprise Toxin press room. We call this live from the press room, and we have a guest riding shotgun with us, and Joe just happens to be tonight's guest. And these are props right now.
These aren't real?
These are not operational. They're real. They're real. And the money was real. They're just not operational until we get our technical difficulties worked out. So at some point you will see a vast improvement on the sound. But right now they just look really cool right here. But we're not using them to do the interview. But close us out. Do pick one that you'd like to do. Close us out.
Well, this is a song that was done back in probably the early '60s or late '50s, and it was recently redone on a song on an album called "If I Can Dream," in which they took the masters from when Elvis was alive and they put them with the London Philharmonic Symphony. It's called "There's Always Me," and so I'd like to go out on that one. When the evening shadows fall and you're wondering who to call, with a little company, there's always me. I don't even mind somehow playing second fiddle now. Someday you'll love me, dear, and when that day is here, coming by his paper soon, his wife wants to take a drive to the moon.
Oh, wow. All right, yeah, I'll take the endorsement and the plug, yeah.
Great entertainment here. This paper actually is true press. It's not. This is the news. This isn't some entertainment thing that you can schlock stuff you see in a lot of. This is, as the new president would say, or there's the fake press. This is the real press right here.
Well, you got Friday night Blue Biscuit, 7 o'clock, Elvis 85th birthday show. You're going to have a special guest, our esteemed director.
Yes, maybe others, but at least one.
Dominic, you might know him as John Noble. Bella Panic will be doing a little bit of Hound Dog.
So. Yeah, he's going to be, or maybe some others. So we'll see.
All right, let's check out.